Welcome to Sub Rosa. So what you got, Eugene?
It's interesting, and I had an ear for it because a couple of things have happened. Like, keep in mind, it all congeals around jujitsu. Like, one of the guys who we take jujitsu with is, of course, affianced related to the company that made all the cuts at Facebook, Meta, and the layoffs I said that were going to come at Google they didn't do it on the 21st, it was suspected, but it's coming up next week supposedly. But one of the things, so this reorganization is what they call it. A guy that I know is, as a result of shuffling and probably some good politicking on the part of somebody else, going to have to work for one of his people who reported to him. He's not being demoted, and the other guy is technically not being promoted, but the organization has phased out like some kind. This is like weird hardware stuff, ME stuff that I don't, some engineering thing. But so in other words, so he's here, this guy was here, that division is going away. And so he is now, one of his direct reports, he now reports to as part of the reorg. He will be. So his question is a really simple one. Should I quit? Like, does this represent a step backward? And am I choosing to keep it because I just want to be employed? Or is this professionally something? What kind of signals does this send professionally? And I was actually stumped because my temptation is to say, yeah, of course. What they're doing is saying that you're not worth as much as we thought you were worth. So take it, like it, leave it or lump it. We don't give a crap. My gut sense is to say, get another job, leave. But, you have a positive relationship with your former report. It's just about getting the work done. How much do you love the work? I don't know. I mean, there's what happens on the paper and there's what happens at your desk. And what happens on the paper lives with you longer than what happens on the desk, right? The paper I'm speaking of is your CV, and specifically.
I disagree. I think that what I would suggest to that person is wait and see what happens. Right? Wait and see. Because you didn't mention, so presumably it is not the case where the former direct report, now supervisor, is a horrible person in some way.
Right.
It's the objection that your friend has is just that he is on an org chart. He now is underneath someone that he used to be above. And I feel like, what that presupposes is that hierarchy is incredibly important to an organization and to a person. And I feel like, yes, it can be, but that's such a very, white supremacy, patriarchal, male dominant, status oriented. I'm like, are we peeing in the corners now? Are we going to get, what if we step away from those traditional kind of tropes and look instead at what is your job opportunity? So what I would suggest to this person, if he were asking me advice, is, give it a couple of months. And put aside the hierarchical issues, put aside whatever bile rises up in your throat when you have to acknowledge that he is now, your supervisor, and look at what's the quality of my work. Is there an opportunity for me to learn? Am I challenged? Is there something that makes larger business sense? The reality also may be this guy may be more talented than your friend. There may be a good reason that he has achieved this. And, you might be able to learn something from him. And I think also what I would look at in that kind of, period of questioning, gather information about how skillful this man is about this transition. Right. So, I've worked with a number of executive coaching clients who have been in this situation where they are now managing someone who used to report to them. Right. And in cases where they can be intentional about it, maybe name whatever difficulties there might be thoughtful and considerate, really try to make their, former boss, now subordinate, feel like their opinion and experience is valued. It can actually be good, right? Because I wouldn't want your friend to be in a situation where presumably he's well paid. He's got some, social capital there. He enjoys his job. There's some reason that he's been there for a while to jettison that for what could just be hurt pride.
Yeah, right. That's good advice. That's good adult advice. I really wanted to do the hothead advice. Tip the desk over. So I'm done. I hate you guys, and walk out.
There's something to be said for tipping over, but I think the idea is like, if I'm going to tip over tables, I want it to be about injustice. I want it to be about malfeasance. I want it to be about something real, not just my pride is hurt.
Yeah. I'm small-minded enough. I like the pride.
And again, I think different people are, for very valid reasons, more invested in other things, right? Because one of the things that I was thinking about pride is, I have been doing a lot of writing for a long time and not getting paid for it. Mm-hmm. And what that has done is that has caused me to renegotiate my own understanding about about what is essentially pride, right? Because there are a lot of people who would say, I'm sick and tired of doing all this work and not getting any recognition or money for it. Mm-hmm. And that's a valid excuse. I could have stopped writing anything in my 30s because look at all the work I've done, and I don't have anything to show for it. Yeah. But on the other hand, I would be depriving myself of something that I enjoy doing. I like being creative. I think I'm good at it. It could happen. I continue to look at that. So I think part of that is your perspective, right? My perspective is there are lots and lots of people who would look at me and say, bitch, please, you have been writing in complete obscurity and making no money for 40 years, 4 decades since I was in college. What am I doing? And there are other people who might look and be like, I appreciate your, spiritual perspective that you are doing something that you enjoy, doing it for a reason, and it satisfies you, and let the chips fall where they may.
But you know what I've taken to heart is that the people I know, some of my favorite writers, have had to get not side hustles, have had to get jobs, and the writing is their side hustle. Until Cormac McCarthy, who died recently, it wasn't until he was like in his late 70s and they made No Country for Old Men, or all the Pretty Horses into a movie, that dude made any money. Like none. Like he had to work as a professor. Same with Harry Crews. Same with a lot. It's very few. Not everybody's James Patterson. Do you like James Patterson? Good for you. I don't. But James Patterson feeds himself and, has people working for him that write his books for him. So.
Right. And so I think that it's useful if you can be honest with yourself and acknowledge that this is primarily a pride and ego driven decision. Yeah. That maybe you should give it some time, sit with it, because, you might be mistaken. And this guy could actually turn out to be a good boss, and it could turn out to be an interesting and exciting opportunity.
Yep. All right. I will let him know.
If you have any questions for us that you want included in Sub Rosa, send them to WTF@badbossbrief.com and we will answer them soon. Thanks, everybody.
All right.